Action Comics 1096, Mark Waid writing with SKYLAR Partridge on the art. Do you know what I think's funny about this? Is that the cover says, Search for Superman starts here, and it's got a big badge saying Reign of the Superboys, and there is absolutely nothing in this issue that is any different from the previous, there's no sign that we're doing it to tie into any of that stuff. It's just the next issue of the Superboy story that Mark Waid's been doing.
Yeah. So knowing that we knew about the characters that show up on the cover, I thought there was going to be a swerve. I thought those were just like stand-ins. We're going to make you think that it's Mary and Martian Manhunter and Booster, but maybe it's the Superboys. Maybe that's how it's timey in. We're doing timey-wimey type stuff. And it's like, no, this is just the next piece of it. And we are getting timey-wimey, but it has nothing to do with the Reign of Superboys.
Well, I mean, it may next issue. Like, we don't know why they're here or how they ended up here. So, like, they could bring up some of the present-day stuff, I suppose. I kind of hope they don't, to be honest, but they could. But regardless, this is just more of the good stuff that Wade's been doing. Focuses a little bit on Lana's dad early on. Talks about how he's a bit of a, he talks to people, but it's almost like he's studying them rather than interacting with them. So there's a little bit of a coldness to him that he kind of like notices. And something weird happens where that lightning kind of strikes a tree, but then the tree doesn't actually explode or the tree explodes, but then the lightning doesn't strike it till later. So it's like, what the hell just happened? And then when Clark goes to the fair again, the expo, he goes with Lana and he goes with Pete, and they're having a nice time. That keeps happening where, like, part of something will happen, but the full thing won't happen. Like, oh, we keep licking the ice cream, but it doesn't look like it's been eaten yet. This other thing, this sound doesn't happen yet, even though I can see clapping. Oh, there's the clapping. And he's like, wait a minute, is this a new superpower? And obviously I'm thinking, no, it's not. And then right away, the narration box says, spoiler, it isn't. And I'm like, oh, good. I'm glad you put that in, just so I wasn't worried that you were adding some weird new superpower. That's good.
Everything's like a reverse delay. So, like, he hears the balloon pop before he sees it pop.
It's kind of like if you were watching a movie and the video and audio were wildly out of sync, and you were seeing or hearing stuff much later than you were seeing it in the movie. That's kind of the easiest way to describe it.
And knowing what we know about Waid, he loves to play with hypertime. And this seems like this has something to do with the hypertime and whatnot. But yeah, they end up having to go back to that World's Expo, and that's where they're eating the ice cream, and there's this fun little plaque. This is where Superboy first appeared.
Lana's girling out over it.
Yeah. So a bunch of little fun stuff here.
But it even happens to him because he changes into his Superboy outfit without doing anything, and he's like lucky they weren't looking, so he like flies off quickly. And like, where did Clark go? So he kind of tries to go around and help people in Metropolis, thinking that there's something wrong. And at first he actually gets kind of scared and he wants to go home because it's too overwhelming. But he decides to go back. He realizes he has to like do it. So, so it's just, again, it's a good Superman montage of him helping people, grabbing cars, saving bunnies, the usual stuff.
And his logic on that is, if I'm in my Superboy costume, something has to be going on. So now I'm going to go around looking for see what's going on. He finds all this other stuff. But then when he starts to get overwhelmed, he gets reminded of this time where he had put off doing a book report as a kid, where he had to cover like 50 fish, and he starts to panic, and Ma Kent's like, no, I want to take this one fish at a time. And that's what gets him through it. So again, I do like the kind of folksy.
She was remedy. A little bit mad at him though, because he left it till the night before and he was supposed to do it. Which, don't get me wrong, very relatable. Do you know how many homework assignments I left to the night before? A lot.
Brother, the worst thing that I could learn was to be a good procrastinator, because I got better grades at the stuff I waited the last minute for than I did on the stuff that I started early. So yes, I get it. And that rush, I imagine that's what drugs feel like. That I'm not going to get this done. You get it done and you get a good grade on it. You're just like, ain't nothing stopping me now.
Yeah, I'm unstoppable. The big thing though that happens at the end of the sequence though is that he kind of gets a glimpse of the Fortress of Solitude before he has it. He's like, oh, I saw something that was kind of like, some fortress. He doesn't really understand.
Yeah. And it's very much the one from the 2025 movie.
It is.
Odd angles.
Which is kind of weird because I'm so used to seeing the one from the 78 movie be the basic inspiration for it.
Yeah. The big palace of crystals and whatnot. This looks like ice jutting up out of the tundra, which is super cool. But yeah, he gets a thing, and I I do like he's like, about like the paradoxes were increasing in intensity. So like just the idea of him going in there before he's supposed to, what would he have seen? Oh
yeah. So
pretty crazy.
Basically, he's like, okay, it must be coming from the expo, and he's getting closer. He's trying to like filter out all the noise, and he gets to these devices that are making this frequency in the middle. He hears people say his name, and when he finally gets to it, there's like a boom tube style effect, and it's Martian Manhunter, Booster Gold, and Mary Marvel, and they're like, he did it. We're here. And he's like, hey, call me Booster. We'll explain everything later, but we got to go. Because like we have to lure him away from civilians, and he's like, who's him? And then we see a big gold looking robot dude. I don't know who this is off the top of my head. Do you know who this is?
No, I don't, but if you look at the shoulders, and they almost look like Superman symbols, right? They're the Pentagon.
Sure. Yeah, a little bit.
Symbols. So I don't know, is this maybe like a rogue Superman robot or a Kryptonian robot of some kind? Or is it like a suit?
Yeah, it's just I always have this worry with this type of splash page where I'm I supposed to know who this is, but I don't. Yeah. So that's good.
Well, because they're doing this whole thing, he's still right behind us, luring away from civilians, and Superboy asks like, who are we running from? And they just say him, and then there's nothing. So I get maybe we're supposed to know, but also maybe not, because it's one of those things like, maybe it'll start to be more familiar once we get there. But This if this is a suit of armor or a robot character, it doesn't strike a chord.
Yeah, it's not ringing a bell
for me.
Yeah, so I think there's a risk next issue when he actually has to interact with these characters from the future. Like, how cute do they get with references or what they say to him? We'll see if Mark Waid can restrain himself or sort of navigate it with a little bit of tact. This issue on its own, though, is very good. It's continuing what he's been doing here. It's got the learning process, him figuring new things out. The teen friend stuff is good, is been good since the start. And SKYLAR Partridge's art is still very fitting for it. I will say that splash page where the three characters show up just towards the end, they do look like almost a little bit stilted compared to every other character in the book. I don't know if it's like, they're meant to be from the future, so I'm going to do a slightly different style for them, but they do come off looking a little bit more stiff, I guess.
But I also feel like it's not them. Like there's something off about them, and maybe that's the point. Maybe that's the art, right? That's the telltale of it, because this is an odd assembly of characters, right? Booster, I get, timey-wimey, even Manhunter with the stuff that we've seen, in Justice League Unlimited, but Mary Marvel doing some timey-wimey stuff with Superboy, that's an odd one. So again, I almost half expected this to be the Legion when we got here at the end, because we were doing Superboy stuff, and them on the cover would be replaced.
I think you're overthinking it. I don't like
absolutely I am.
Until they give me a reason to think that there's something to like not believe that this is really these three characters. I'm happy to believe it, because it still makes enough sense to me. Like, why these three? Well, why not? It could be any three heroes from present day. These are just three characters that Mark Waid wanted to write. We know he likes Mary Marvel. He's written a lot of Shazam. So I love Booster and I love Mary, and I kind of like Manhunter. He's not a favorite, but so I'm not gonna be mad. It's just something feels off, and again, I might just be reading too much into it, right? So I'm giving my spider sense a tingle, but yeah, and then now they're on this run from this robot thing or suit of armor or whatever it is. Yeah, we'll see how he tackles this next issue. So I mean, it's almost like a tough issue to talk about, just because it feels like it's all set up for next time. So it's hard to like judge it, because we don't really have the payoff to anything yet. But I mean, the build up to it was good. It was a weird thing that was happening that he was trying to make sense of, and the art did a good job of like showing the confusion of it. I think the first time with the tree, I was a little confused as to what happened until he said a couple of lines of dialogue to kind of like help explain it. But from that point on, it was very clear what was happening, and the sense of like confusion for Clark was very well presented. So, and I like, I probably like Jean more than I do Booster, to be honest, just to be different to you. Yeah. Mary's my favorite of the three, though. So Mary, then Jean, then Booster. Yeah, that's how I feel.
Yeah. Also, like the different not breakdowns, but the layouts. Here, the Partridge is using, like the one where Clark's getting overwhelmed, And so Clark's in the middle and everything's kind of coming off of him at different angles.
Yes.
You know, and so it definitely gets that feeling that it's overwhelming, like just even to look at the art. And then as he starts to figure things out, it starts to get more clear as you read. There's less wonky lines and straighter angles and whatnot. So again, I appreciate when the storytelling happens like that.
Well, sometimes it's something so simple. The panel, so when he comes back to the city and he's like saving people, the page after he rescues the dog, he's holding a car that's like sort of going off a bridge. And there's something just simple where the bottom of that panel, it's not a rectangle. The bottom of that panel actually has a sort of just a slight angle to it going down in the same direction as the car falling off the thing.
Yep.
So it just gives this extra sense of like space for like Superboy's foot to stick out. So you get the sense of like the shape of it in a weird. It works. It's like a good visual momentum thing.
Yes, and it adds a bit of depth to everything and spacing. You know, so you feel like the car's coming off of the bridge and that he's in space, you know.
Yeah, it's got a good sense of perspective.
Stopping it. Yes, so yeah, I like Partridge's art a whole lot. So, and I like a lot of these, you know, the Superboy action sequences are really good. But then like when he starts to get to that transmitter and we start going back through things in different parts of the arc, or not even the arc of the story since Wade's taken over. Right, there's him and Lana hanging out, him and Captain Comet, and then with the fire that he helped put out in another issue, it's almost like he's going back through time, right, to get to this point. So again, it really added up to the timey-wimey. You're talking about the perspectives and the angles as he gets closer to us, right? It's going across that diagonal. So again, it creates a sense of movement on a still page, which is super cool. So yeah.
All right. What are you giving Action Comics?
I'm gonna give this an 8.5.
I think I'm going that high. What the hell do I go? I think it's bordering on the 8 for sure. I don't know if I quite want to give it the 8. I might go 7.5 just because it's just there's not as like it builds up to a cliffhanger, and it's the robot that's chasing them's kind of like a nothing burger. It's like, oh, it's just some goofy looking robot. Like, I don't know. Like, so that part of it's maybe like a slight step down. So I'll say 7.5 overall for me.